So we want to bring attention to kind of the hidden gems of Louisville, and so this is a trail that not many people know about, even those that live next to the zoo. And we really want to showcase that greenways can exist in Beargrass Creek, and we really want to make the case for expanding it to all people that live on the South Fork, you know, whether you're on this side of 264 or in Newburgh. And so, you know, let's go and hike. So here's an example of how erosion, by not taking care of where your water's going, is actually going to be a larger and larger problem in Louisville. You can see here that all this water that's coming off these impervious surfaces, like for instance this paved road, it's undercutting all of the soil here. And so it's actually washing all this sediment, you can see here, straight down into Beargrass Creek. So people wonder why the stream is so polluted. And so if you have these tiny events that happen across thousands of homes and places of business every year, after a while that stream becomes unlivable. And so you can see here the different grasses. So up here this is Johnson grass. And if you look, you can see at what point other types of grasses are starting to take over. So that means the Johnson grass hasn't probably reached down here as much yet, but it's only a matter of time. And there it is. Well, why didn't they just do that all the way up?
It'd make too much sense.
You see the sycamores? That white bark, that's really the best indicator. Sycamores love water, so when you see white bark trees, that usually is a good indicator that there's a stream bank nearby.
Yep. I always wondered what this thing is when I was in the zoo.
My guess is it's a catchment basin. It's a way to keep a lot of water in one place. Oh, Richard, look, these are new oak trees. These are little, I guess a squirrel forgot his nut. There's one right there and one right here. These are redbuds, and you can tell by the heart-shaped leaf. And these leaves are really nice because they have a drip tip. So what this means is that when water gets on them, like where I'm doing it, the leaf will actually keep the water from staying on the leaf and causing it to rot. It's amazing how natural design works. You can see how some pines have had an impact. Running up. Bro, you can see the sediment coming out from that drainage pipe. Here, if you see it here, I think. You see how it's a different color?
Oh, yeah.
And you can see how much it's been undercut. Because of the erosion, you see how the roots of the tree are sticking out?
Mm-hmm.
Richard, we might be able to save this creek.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Do you see those white flowers? That's white snake root. White snake root's poisonous to a lot of mammals that deer can't eat it like. But for pollinators, it is a great, great thing. And so it's really great that they have a little crop of it. More mature honeysuckle, and you can see how big these things get and how dense. So if you stand under it, you can see how I'm not hardly getting wet at all. And the reason is that these leaves form almost an impenetrable canopy anywhere this bush honeysuckle is. And so that means that if I'm trying to grow underneath it, there's no light. You can see the difference where light can get in and just right underneath it. Why couldn't bus stops just do this?
That would make it too convenient.
They probably only used what, like maybe 30 bucks of lumber, maybe? Can you imagine the difference in quality of life? see that? You see that turtle in the South Fork of Beargrass Creek? You see that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's going underneath a plastic bag to hide. How sad. Oof. Oh, this is a pawpaw. So this is a young tree, maybe no more than 2 or 3 years old. But pawpaws are really neat because depending on how much light they get, in 7 years from the time they sprout, they'll actually start to bear fruit. And a lot of animals love eating pawpaws, so hopefully this will start to branch out and really start to take over this section of the trail. And over here we have an ephemeral called a mayapple right here, and I'm not going to touch it. Every part of this plant is poisonous, and it sends out a little colony. So all these are part of the same plant. And the mayapple underneath doesn't have any flowers yet. Maybe it's already had it. But it sends out a little flower at the beginning of, maybe actually more mid to late spring. And they're called mayapples because they produce a little flower followed by a little fruit, and then the entire colony dies off by late summer. So mayapples, because every part of that plant's poisonous, the Native Americans actually use that as a suicide plant. You dig up the root and it's just very easy to harm yourself if you ingest it, so please be careful. Do not touch it, don't eat it. And you can tell it's a black walnut because of the many diamond-shaped leaves, but also, look at this bark. You see the ridges and the diamonds in the bark? If you see this and you see the leaves, it's usually a black walnut. White walnuts have much lighter wood. Oh, Richard! We got a big ass pawpaw. So this is definitely able to bear fruit. It's in a well-lit area. I think that we should come back here around September to see if there's any fruit coming off of it. But I'm excited. I always love seeing rare trees in Louisville, and this is definitely one of the rarer ones. And so you'll see that most of these pawpaws come up in these kind of groves or a pawpaw patch, and it's because in an area with enough light, the pawpaw tree will actually send out identical clones of itself across this area to try to maximize the amount of light it can get. And so this tree, this tree, this tree, oh, you can actually see a fruit on the top of that one. That's a really good sign. And then in between the pawpaws, this is a redbud. And these are redbud seeds and seed pods that are forming. So in the fall, they'll start to drop off, and then you can start making redbuds.
This is fun.
So look, there's some new ones, new pawpaws that are sprouting up. You see all them? This is almost like a pawpaw street. They're growing everywhere here. Wow. Dude, look at these pawpaws. So these are definitely not ripe yet, but that is a pawpaw. And if you're lucky enough to get the chance to eat it, it is unlike anything you've ever had in your life. It is delicious. And they're ripe in September for 1 month only. Maybe a 3-week period where every pawpaw in the entire state is ripe at once. And they don't pack well at all. So if you ever see a pawpaw, the best way to eat it is to just find a tree in your backyard or somewhere close and just see if you can find a fruit. So this is a box elder, and it's otherwise known as a ash leaf maple, but you can see the seeds look very mapley, but if you notice the leaves don't look like anything like the Canadian flag, right? So these trees grow in a wide variety of moist soils. They're more like the first tree to really naturalize a space, especially around a floodplain. So you can see how many seeds they make, so they are incredibly prolific. And if we ever decide to go by the parklands, there's a lot of ones already established and growing. You see this? Okay, so this is really nice. I don't understand why this area has it and not the entire rest of the trail, right?
Right.
We're probably getting to the end of the trailhead, huh? So there's some, you can see rock in the creek. That's a really good thing. Fish need eddies and pools and ripples and just a lot of different ways to hide in the current. If you don't have rock, if you don't have ways for the water to move around, basically you got a freight train of water with no way for the fish to evade it. So all the fish, if they aren't strong enough, just get washed downstream. So to make this river and to make any kind of creek better, you need to start to connect the creek, which is really deep in this channel right now. You have to connect it to the floodplain. If you don't, you're just going to have this really deep area for water to get into and no way for it to slow down. And that can really affect a lot of different ways, because a lot of different people, because the more flooding you have and the more water that gets in here, the quicker erosion happens. So you're talking, if there's a place that's maybe 10 feet from the shore, if enough water gets washed downstream, then you're going to carve out the bank and anything that's close to the creek is going to get destroyed. This is a tulip poplar, and otherwise known as a tulip tree. You can see the leaf. So it's also called a canoe tree because the Native Americans used it to make canoes. They grow very straight and very tall. It's a really good tree to have. Oh, here's a big one. It's growing on the opposite side of the creek there. Same leaves. Oh, you can see some pawpaws in the background here. They grow in almost the pyramid shape. So right here, with the really ridged bark, this is a cottonwood tree that looks like it has maybe some poison oak or something wrapped around it. But any time you see one of those white puffballs blow past in spring, those are the seeds from the cottonwood tree. And so if you notice this section of the creek, it's much lower, which means that there must have been some kind of creek restoration done here, because the area we passed that had all the Johnson grass and had all the ivy, you saw how much deeper it was. So This is an effort in stream remediation. You notice all the different trees planted, but so much more could be done on every stretch of this creek because we've been mistreating it for so long. This is where it goes underneath, I guess, Shuff Lane. And you can see where they put in rocks to slow down the water, but they only put the rocks on the bridge. They didn't think to fill in any more of the creek. And it's short-term measures like this that really keep Louisvillians from using the creek efficiently. Hold on. Richard, I think there's a fish. Do you see that? Swimming past the plastic bag.
Looking. I'll have to go in post and enhance.
No problem. Here, he's going past that diagonal stripe. I can't believe I saw a fish.
So, life confirmed.
Life confirmed in the creek. Oh, Richard. You see this? This is the neighborhood drain for the storm sewer. So all the water that gets collected at the top of the street eventually makes its way down here. So that means that if we test the outlets, we can actually pinpoint where the most pollution is coming from anywhere on the trail. This is everything from Firstborn Parkway and Taylorsville Road, all the way from Champions Trace, where the Butyl Walmart and the Butyl Target is. Everything past 264 has washed to this point. All right, so what we did today was walk Jim King Trail, walked the South Fork of Beargrass Creek from the Louisville Zoo to Shuff Lane. We saw a lot of different species of tree. We even saw some wildlife in the creek, which is a promising sign. And hopefully in our next few segments, we'll be able to do some more creek walks and really pinpoint some areas for improvement across the South Fork watershed.